And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Ruby Rock, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the red Protoss representing onside. It is Zoun. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Terran player. We have the blue Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. Let's go, Barry, let's go. Whew, have we made it? So we've made it here to the final qualifying match here in the first group stage, if you will. Afterwards, we'll be going over all the matches, all the groups, going over everything that has been going on. We'll get there. We will get there. So now we do move out. Again, welcome to our PVT here. Both Zoun and Cure, they're both worthy of being a part of GSL of the main season. But again, there's a lot more competition this time, especially with all the foreigners, right? So Clem, he already qualified for the GSL. He will be a part of this season, of course. We have other foreigner players as well, players like Trigger, players like Rainer as well. They're also in the brackets. We didn't get to cast a single Rainer series as he didn't make it to a qualifying match, but it was also in the bracket as well. I did hear some people talk about Rainer versus SOS, so I would imagine that they played at some point. Considering that SOS was a part of a qualifying match and Rainer wasn't, then we can assume who won there. Make that assumption. For now though, gate expands. Gate expand here by Zoun. Going for a standard opener, meanwhile double gas out of Cure. Going double gas here into a faster factory into a more tech heavy start. We're getting to a more tech restart. That means faster factory, delayed CC. We should be getting a CC on the high ground just to be safe. Otherwise, we could get one on the low ground to cut some corners. We'll see how Cure does follow up. From here, we can go into Reaper Hellion. We can go into early Cyclone play, early tank push, early Banshee play as well, even into Wouldn't drop play. So we'll see where Cure takes us when it comes to our safer and more tech heavy start. Oh boy. And when it comes to our TvP here, Cure, he has some of the best TvP in the world. Straight up, he has arguably, I would say, top 2 alongside Clem. Borderline better than Maru's TvP as well. Cure has, again, like, even there was a time a couple of years ago where he had straight up the best TvP in the world. That was back in, what, like 2023-ish era of StarCraft. It was a couple of years ago. Where even Clem looked up to Cure. That was, of course, before Clem's rise of dominance. That was a couple of years before. During the EPT era of StarCraft. And we'll see how he handles himself here. So far, it does open up Reaper Hellion, by the way. Now, when you commit yourself into this much Reaper Hellion, the goal is economic damage, right? The goal is to build up your Reaper Hellion, push in past the army into a mineral line, whether it's the main base, whether it's the natural instead, and to wreak havoc. Now, because of the double gas opener, Zoun is playing safe. We have a battery on the natural and a battery in the main. So Zoun, he's ready. Even if the Reaper Hellion gets into a mineral line, Zoun should not lose workers. If he does, then what was the point of investing into the batteries themselves? So Zoun, he's ready. We have a triple Reaper, double Hellion. Reapers into the main base, Hellions into the natural. Reapers, they don't quite catch Transferring Probe, but we do collapse in. They're going into the mineral line. Hellions are deflected. One Hellion goes down. Reapers into the main, and the battery does out-heal the damage output of 3 Reapers. Oh, the force field. He zoned away. Yeah, zones himself out. 1 probe falls. Just the 1. So 1 probe kill. Now, overall, ideally Cure wanted more damage. That is true, but at the same time, Cure, he retained his army, right? He retained the Reapers. He retained 1 Hellion. So far, it was a better trade for Zoun, but Cure can at least threaten. Keep threatening as he does retain the army. Behind this, we're on 2 bases. We do have 3. We have 2 gates in the main, and we have 1 gateway on the low ground, so 3 gate blink. 3 gate blink into the robo here. Safe play by Zoun, going for a later 3rd base. Cure is checking for the 3rd location, and he's confirming there is no 3rd. So he knows that this is a safer build out of Zoun. At the same time, mine drop into the main. Pylon does scouts. Stalkers in position. Zoun is ready. Cure, he knows he got spotted by the pylon. Rotating around behind this early Liberator. Interesting. Going for the early Lib. Dives in. Dives behind the mineral line. Catching out 2 probes. Catching at 3, man, not bad. And even saves the mine as well. Blink is not yet done. Yeah, nice moves by Cure, getting 3 probes and even saves the Widow mine. At the same time, the Reapers are still checking for the third, and the third is still not out, by the way. Yeah, very delayed. We can see Zoun going for the early Temple Archives. Okay, now we see why. So, insanely late third base in favor of the Temple Archives. This is in favor of early Storm. So it's an early Storm build. This is very safe. If Cure was to go for a 2-base all-in, then Zoun will be ready with Storm. Like, Storm is going to be ready in time for any kind of early 2-base push. The downside is late forges, late upgrades, and late third base and late economy coming into the mid game. Oh. Zoun does pull away, losing another probe. That is 4 probe kills. And we'll see how Cure does play this out and whether he recognizes what's going on. He scout. Yeah, he saw. Never mind. So Cure is fully aware. He did scouts. Liberator won't get much done, but Cure, he did scout the early tech. He's fully aware. As a result of that, Cure, he has a choice to make. Either he shouldn't commit on 2 bases. We should be seeing a third. Typically, early Storm forces you to play into the mid game. Now Zoun takes his own third base at 620, and yep, there's a third CC for Cure. So again, very late third, very low economy, worse upgrades, but early tech. If Cure didn't scout and if he pushed on 2 bases, then he'd just be completely shut down. So we're forcing some macro. We're forcing macro. Yeah. Sorry, just posture check in the chat. Posture check. It's been a long cast. We've been live for almost 6 hours. To be fair, we did have like a 1.5 hour countdown timer. To be fair. So like 4.5 hours of casting. It's been straight though, like no breaks whatsoever. So my voice is a little bit strained, so I do apologize. No breaks, Pappy, no breaks. Just non-stop casting. But there we go. Curie sets up his third. As we mentioned, again, because Cure scouted the early Storm, like there's no push. There's no push. We're claiming our third base. And we should be building up into a longer macro game. In doing so, I do favor Zoun, given the kind of game state that we're getting into. Zoun does have a shaky mid game, that is true, and he's behind in upgrades, but the goal here for Zoun should now be to contain. To contain Cure. And to mass expand, we'll see if he can. As Cure does go for much earlier ghost production. As opposed to Beyond, if you recall, Beyond he went for earlier Liberators, but the early Storm build here from Zoun does force early Ghosts. Storm drop is coming in. And we're coming in with a Storm drop. Ooh. We try to. Zoun is forced away. He's zoned away. Curie defends. Oh, did I not? Oh, my apologies. Sorry. Just realized that I still had Shin's name in the in-game overlay, so I do apologize, but it's not fixed. It's been a long cast, man. It's been a long cast. So I do apologize. It is down. It's just early in the previous series, Shin, he was going by a different ID, so did have to manually change his name. But is Senor Zoun. Sorry, we were locked in. We were locked in. So here we're building up our Colossus, setting up in towards the mid game. Likewise, Cure is also getting a 4th CC. I mean, hey, strap yourselves in. We're going to be here for a while. The goal here is for Cure to fight for his 4th, and we'll see if he can take it. Zoun is here. He's ready. Ready to deny the expansion. Both players are maxing out. Here comes the 4th base. This is Zoun's moment. Nope. As first storm does land. Oh, brutal storms. Yeah, storms do land. There's still another storm in the chamber. Storms are good, but Cure, he expands. Yeah, he breaks on through. He does position. Tanks push forward. 4th base is getting up, and now Cure can max. Now he can max out. Now he can afford his fusion core into Liberator. Zoun, he fails to deny the 4th base. And this is a big power spike for Cure. Now Zoun, he can take the rest of the map, of course, but now with the 4th expansion, Cure can max. A 5th base would be huge. A 5th base would be devastating, actually. Zoun, he's trying to take over his side of the map. I still do think that Zoun should be expanding more aggressively and should be already at this point taking bases from Cure. So Zoun, he's being a little bit too timid. Considering he has, what 2,000 minerals? So once again, he tries to move in. Nice EMP. EMP on the gateway units. Vikings that respond. Zoun's still trying to force his way in. Oh. Storm zones. No Liberators yet. Fusion core is just now on the way. That will be for Liberator range. Vikings that collapse in. Nice EMP. EMP lands, but there's still storms. Yeah, there's still, what, 2 storms available. Oof. Yeah, storm goes off. I believe that was the final storm. I don't know, never mind. There's still a full high Templar back here. Never mind. As Vikings, they collapse in. Trying to get on top of the Colossus. So far as Zoun, he does protect. The buffer is still standing. Nice focus fire here on the top of the Vikings. But he cannot break through. Yeah, he cannot break through. Oof. Yeah, Zoun does overextend, losing 1, losing 2 Colossus. I know. Yeah, heavy losses for Zoun, losing all 3 Colossi. Aye. Whoever stays is welcome. Again, considering how few storms he had, surprised he kept pushing. And Zoun will lose everything. He'll lose everything. Cure, he breaks out. Storms will contain Cure. But you can see Zoun plummet in supply. Very rough fight. Zoun backs out. Cure, he's broken free. And now as Zoun rotates towards the 3rd base, Cure, he pushes. It's pushing across the map. Doing recall. I commit. We're going for the base trade. Zoun keeps going. Cure turns around. Yeah, Cure is racing back home. The 3rd base will fall. And he turns around with half the army. Yeah, turns around with half. As Cure does keep going. Pushing towards the triangular 3rd base. Nice CP. Zoun, what's the plan? What do we do? Do we turn around? Do we keep going? And does turn back, and likewise so does Cure. So Cure settles for 2 bases. Zoun settles for 1. Better trade for Cure. Knocks down another Nexus, and the Cure should make it back home. He's making it back home. Zoun, he'll try to catch him. Zoun is moving in. He still has plenty of high Templar, 6 Templar, plenty of storms. Prism attempts to get into the main. Does go for the warp in. Ooh. EMP says turn back the army. Zelsa warp into the main base. Cure is distracted. There are some ghost reinforcements to defend. It's an expensive defense here as he's going to lose ghosts. Oh no, losing one. Yeah, it does lose some ghosts. Ghosts are going to be delayed, but it's a very heavy ghost. How many ghosts do we have? 18, oh my god. It's a lot of ghosts, that's a lot of EMPs. A very heavy ghost army. Storm does crazy army. More storms coming in. How many High Templar do we have? 4. Only 4 Templar left. I do appreciate that Zoun does keep them back, so they don't get caught by EMPs. But I'm concerned here by the lack of Templar. Earlier we had like, what, 8 Templar? Now down to 4. Oof. EMPs, they catch the army. Cure establishing a 5th expansion. We mentioned earlier that a 4th base is a big power spike for the Terran. To get a 5th, that is huge. Again, you almost rarely see this kind of game state. What I mean by that, look at the mineral income, look at the resources here. The Terran player has a bigger bank than the Protoss. Like, that is almost never seen in late game TvP. That is brutal. And that comes down to lack of expansions. Like, Zoun, he lost the bases earlier. In this kind of game states, Zoun should have map control, should have more bases, and should have a greater bank. That isn't the case, and Zoun is behind. Like, Zoun is struggling. Ay, ay, ay. Zoun tries to collapse in. Vikings being focused down. So far, decent positioning with the Stalkers. Does catch a couple of Vikings. So run by at the same time, distracting Cure. We have still only 4 High Templar. CC will be focused down, zoning storms. Oof. I mean, so far, nice storms. Does bait the army in. Blinks forward. He's going for it. Zoun tries to go for the dive. Cure does not take the bait. Doesn't take the bait at the same time. Does make the way into the main. And something that we've been lacking here for Cure, he does have a very ghost heavy composition. We're the Liberators, right? He had the fusion core earlier. He has limited range. He never got into it. There's 6 Colossus. Well, that's why. 6 Colossi. We're stuck making Vikings. He's stuck with the Vikings. We're getting a 7th Colossus, by the way. 7 Colossi. It's crazy. Okay. I mean, now we know why there are so few High Templar. Instead, just going for the heavy Colossus count. Okay, up to 5 Templar. Going up to 5. Oh, the closer exposed. Oh no! Losing 3. Yeah, 1. Oh, just 1 going down. 2 of them are so low. But rough movement here from Zoun. Yeah, some shaky army positioning. We have to be careful. Good look after the army. The AMPs connects. He gets 1, he gets 2. That's 3 Colossus falling in total. We're down to 4. 4 Colossus left. Once again, some heavy losses there for Zoun. Goes moving in. So trying to move in. Zoun once again counterattacking. Built up to 12 Vikings. Oh, Cure splitting up his army. Very nice split. Takes down the expansion. Zoun responds. Zoun forced to respond. Oof. EMP lands. EMP lands on 1 Templar. 1.5. There's still, what, 3 storms remaining. Nice position here with the Stalkers. Another EMP lands. Oh no, no. That was a misclick, by the way. Oof. The EMP goes off once again. EMP goes off. Now we're collapsing in. Jesus, that storm did so much damage. He just went through the storm. We'll see if it's worth it. Yeah, we'll see if it's worth it. Yeah, it is. He does take down the Colossus one after the other. Nova's going to be going off. Oh, it does graze the army. But he breaks through. He does bust on through here again. No storms. The Templar gets shut down. Disruptors are on cooldown. And we just keep pushing. We can keep pushing. At the same time, Zealots do distract, but the bunkers, sorry, the planetary is almost done. Commit, Bappy, commit. Oh no! It goes from their own. Messy play here from Cure. He responds to everything. He F2's back home. Oh. Yeah, that was a bit of an F2. Okay, turning back around. We can lock in. There's 2 Templar left. Only 2 Templar. They're back here. There should be 1 storm each, so minimal storms, no Colossus. Minimal splash damage, relying heavily here on disruptors. Once again, the low amount of liberators is going to be hurting Cure. How many Vikings? 12. Yeah, the Vikings, they don't really have many uses here. So this tech switch may work for Zoun. Cure coming from behind. That's going up. Catching out a couple of ghosts. Cure distracted by the Zealots. Cure's distracted. Planetary is going to go down. Oh, never mind. Zoun pulls away. And pulls away. Cure barely holding on. Another Zealot runs into another planetary. Cure now collapsing in. And now Liberator production has begun. Again, he's aware, of course, that he needs those Liberators. It's been a long time coming. That is a lot of Novas, a lot of Disruptors. Oh no, he gets 1! Oh, massive VMP. He gets 1, he gets 2, he gets 3. 3, 4, 5 Disruptors. 1 Nova connects. It was a brutal Nova. That was what? That was so many Disruptors going down. Heavy losses for Zoun. I'm waiting for the update. There it is, 6 Disruptors. Oof. And 1 fell swoop. There's 1 Disruptor left. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, there's almost no splash damage. Just 1 Purification Nova. Massive EMPs. Vikings, they can land. Disruptor goes down. And there we go. They land on the army. They get a full surround here. And Curie snowballs out of control. Again, we saw that Curie, he was in control this entire game. The moments when he took his 4th. Like his 4th expansion. I mean, the 5th base was like this. He sealed the deal with the 5th. Like that was crazy. GG gets hold. And Cure takes game number 1. GG. Whew, GG, well played. Really rough mid game there from Zoun. Winding it back, Zoun, he was playing very safe. He was playing overly safe, overly defensive. I'm referring to Zoun going for a late 3rd expansion, going for early storm, getting a late 4th base, getting a late 5th base. We spoke about it at the time. When Zoun confirmed that Cure was being more defensive, we needed a more aggressive expansions out of Zoun. But Zoun, he was so timid. He was so timid with his bases, so timid with his expansions, and it led into a game state here where Cure was getting his 4th base as Zoun was getting his 4th. Cure eventually got his 5th base up and running as well. Zoun couldn't stop him, and we ended up in a really odd position, which never happens, which is the Terran player having a larger bank than the Protoss. Like that, if you recall, we pointed out that moment when Cure got his 5th base up. It's like, yo, like he's on 5 bases, he's maxed out, and he has a bigger bank. Like, this should not be happening. And alas, we saw that Cure was just able to snowball out of control, break out, break free, and outscale Zoun. Typically, again, the Terran army is more efficient, straight up. It's a more efficient composition. To compensate, Protoss needs a bigger bank. They need more bases, but Zoun didn't have that. He didn't have the bigger base, he didn't have the bigger bank. So as a result, he could not keep up. Could not keep up with that ghost-heavy composition. You need all those bases, you need those expansions, you need that bank to be able to compare and compete with the Terran. Without it, you just get overwhelmed. GG. GG, well played. With that, Cure does take the game, and we'll see if he can claim the series or if Zoun can bounce back. We're loading into game 2, loading into Tourmaline. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Tourmaline, we have the South Korean Protoss player. We have the red Protoss. Representing onside, it is Zoun. And spawning in the bottom-hand corner, we have the South Korean Terran player. We have the blue Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. Let's go. Let us go. We're getting into our next game. We're getting into game 2 here, and we'll see if Zoun can recover. Really, the real reason why the early and mid game was so rough for Zoun is because Shin was playing. True. That was Este Shin, baby. True, true. Get out of here. Now that Zoun is playing from the beginning, he should be able to tighten up. He should be able to tighten up his play. Bring us to the ace match. Let's go. Let's go. Ay, ay, ay. As from here, we are going to be opening up once again double gas. Just like last game, double gas opening here by Cure, going for a faster factory, going for a delayed CC. Welcome to Tourmaline. Tourmaline, once again, I mean, at this point, we're a broken record when it comes to every series, but Tourmaline has a very short rush distance by ground. A short rush distance by ground, as a result, aggression is favored here. It is very difficult to turtle up on this map, just because how open the natural, the third base, and the fourth base are in general. Very open bases. Short rush distance does lead to more aggression. Now, in saying that, we have seen players like Maru, for example, earlier in the broadcast successfully play out some macro games on Tourmaline and turtle up and build up into a robust army. That is true, he did achieve that, but I still stand by the idea of that being difficult, right? It is difficult to achieve that, difficult to turtle up and to build up into a longer later game. Not impossible, but it is definitely a challenge here for, say, a Terran player. So we'll see if Cure can get there. We'll see if Cure does take a more aggressive approach instead. Let's go. Let us go. For now, we're going to be opening up. Going to have our initial setup here on the low ground. Add-on swap into, this time, not Reaper Hellion. Okay, as a reminder, last game, we saw that Kuro, he built up into triple Reaper, double Hellion for early game aggression, and he was able to achieve some damage. This time, early Cyclone, not Reaper Hellion. So, different follow-up here out of Cure. Different follow-up. Zoun threatening the shade. Behind this, going for a Twilight Council opener himself. Most likely into Blink, but the question becomes how many gateways. Last game it was 3-gate Blink to a very safe build. We mentioned it earlier, but Zoun, he went 3-gate Blink into a Robo, into Gases, into a Templar Archives, into an additional 2 gates, so like a 5-gate setup, into a very late third base. We mentioned earlier that that would be ideal if Cure was being hyper aggressive, but Cure, he recognized what was going on, he scouted the tech, and Cure was just hyper defensive instead. And in the end, Zoun, he struggled in the mid game as a result of that with a subpar economy, as he had invested so heavily here into Storm, into the army, and couldn't quite make use of it. Here Reaper pokes in, does catch out one probe, not bad. Also scouts the tech, confirming the initial gateways as well. So 2 gateways in the main base, 1 gateway at the natural so far, 3-gate Blink. And we'll see if Zoun, again 2 games in a row, goes for Templar Archives. Does he go for the same build? I do think there's a higher chance that Cure is going to be aggressive here in game 2, so you could maybe make an argument to go into early Storm. But it is always risky going for the same build 2 games in a row with the same style, especially if, after it not working the first time. Cure's moving out. Let's go to this early Cyclone, distracting at the natural. Mind Drop is moving in, and behind this we're throwing down extra Raxes. We have our 3-1-1 setup. Okay, Mind Drop into the main base. And so far, okay, no damage. First Widow Mine goes down, the second Maestro goes off into the Gas Geyser, and Zoun, he defends well. He defends well, clean defense here. Sure, the medevac does survive, but now there's no more threats of any kind of Mind Drop play. Back at home, we have Cure building up in towards Stim, and towards his the rest of his tanks, of course. This time, Cure, he doesn't go for any kind of Raven follow-up, so just a Mind Drop into earlier Stim. True, bear that in mind. We have much earlier Stim here with the earlier add-on swap. Hydra on Cure when it comes to a 2-base push. For now, setting up defensively. He's got his 2 bunkers here on the low grounds. 1 bunker even, recognizing he doesn't quite need to be that defensive. This time there's no early Storm. Oh, Stalkers they get ambitious. Very ambitious. Calm down. Zoun is claiming his third base, working towards charge. into a Bay, into Colossus. So a very different kind of mid game here from Zoun. Remember last game we saw very early storm into a very committed 2-base setup here. This time much more standard 3-base timing into Colossus. Much more standard this time at a Zoun, which we do appreciate. Zoun hunting for the medevac. Oh, can he find him? Oh, not quite. Yeah, barely not. Blinks out, doesn't quite catch. Likewise, behind this, we do have our third CC on the way, so Cure is expanding. Building up into the mid game. And I'm curious to see if Cure takes the Maru approach on this map, like last time against Zoun. Do we just hyper turtle up and defend and try to get into like a longer macro game? And just be hyper defensive. You could argue that it worked on Ruby Rock, but we'll see. There's a lot more that came into play as to why that works so well. We spoke earlier about Zoun, you know, hindering his own economy in that last game. Oh, Linksin gets punished. He doesn't get punished, does take down at least one of the tanks, but he gets punished for it here, and that's going to be 3-4 Stalkers going down. Oof. Barely blinks away. Does pull out. And does trade. It does trade here, getting one tank for 3 Stalkers. Curie gets highs on the Observer. Nice snipe. Crazy blink, losing another Stalker. Yeah, once again, Zoun gets punished. So far, the blink aggression has been a little bit shaky here. It's been very shaky. Zoun not claiming his 4th. Double forge, double upgrades. Again, Zoun building up into the mid game. So is Cure. And so is Cure. Zoun just poking in. At the same time, Curie does sneak out across the map, looking for a 4th. Doesn't quite find one. Zoun does expand on the right-hand side. We'll see if Cure can slip into the mineral line. He has potential. Does have potential for a run by. Zoun poking in. He has no intention to commit. He's just here to poke, prod, make sure that Cure is busy back at home. Get eyes on any kind of move outs. Well, Zoun builds up. Baits out mines. Baits out one of the mine shots. Marines, they stem in. Yeah, they make their way towards the mineral line. So far, Zoun is out of position. Curie also breaks out. And we do hit that mineral line. Probe's going to be falling here. This is getting out of hand. It takes down 2 Zealots. Goes further in. 3, 4, up to 5 probe kills. Catching out reinforcing Stalkers as well. And the main army stays at home. I was hoping that we would be pushing. This 4th base is so open. It's so exposed. There was so much potential. 4 probes, a couple of Stalkers, a couple of Zealots. Again, this base is completely isolated. But Cure, he does not move out. Plays it safe. There was potential. But he plays it safe. Zoun, he is spread thin between top left and center right. So far, he is spread out. We'll see if Cure can take advantage of that. For now, just staying at home. Staying at home. Once again, just like last game, he's prioritizing Ghost production. So Academy is done. Ghosts are on the way. Vikings are amassing as well. We should soon be seeing a 4th command center here for Cure. Soon. Zoun does spot the drop. Zoun responds. Cure, he's still securing himself. With a sensor tower, more Vikings, more Ghosts. There's the 4th CC, now on the way. And the real question becomes, can Cure claim the 4th? Can he claim the 4th base? Can Zoun deny it? There he goes off. Oh, earlier disruptors, interesting. In the previous game, I mean, we saw Zoun go up to 6 Colossus, which was insane. It was But here, only two. Only two Colossus into faster disruptors. Committing harder into Purification Overs. I mean, they are going to be safer against the Ghosts, and it also means that the commitment to these Vikings is not as valuable. We're getting up to 9 Vikings. I'm hoping that this time Kira goes into faster Liberators once he notices. He already saw the Disruptor, so he knows, right? He knows that the Colossus gun is lower. So he needs those Liberators. Sound moving in. Tries a bit at the mine shots. Here comes that Purification Overs, going for the mines. Gets one, gets two. Two mines. Nova likewise zones back the main army, sniping one Marauder. Nice little pickles here for Zoun. Down he tries to commit. Never goes off. Oof. Seeing grazing more Marauders. There's still, what, 2 Novas left. Marines, they try to find some damage, they get punished. Nice defense. Zoun, he defends well. And again, we need those Liberators. Without them, we can just get bullied. There the Novas. Still no major connections, but still no Knife's Edge. Ooh, catching out 2 Marines. And a Widow Mine. Gateway Rombi is being set up. Does hit the 4th expansion. Cure out of position. Does try to punish. Never goes off. And never goes off. 4th base is delayed. That's heavy damage here on the 4th CC. We need that planetary. Assuming it's going to be planetary. And once Liberators arrive, then a lot of pressure is going to be alleviated. Until then, though, Zoun is expanding. I do like this, getting his fringe bases. Bottom right and top left. You could definitely argue that these bases are late. I would agree with that. We could have gotten them a lot sooner. But regardless, he's at least claiming them. Nova's going off. Better connections. Much better. Catching out Marauders. Oof. Armor goes back into the Nova. Yeah, more Marauders going down. These are expensive losses here for Cure. Bleeding out, what, 6 Marauders. He blinks in. And Zoun's going for the kill. He's going for it. Zoun commits in. Nova's going off. Oh, nice control there by Cure. Very nice. Yeah, controls well. Cleans up the Colossi. And Cure is holding. But again, behind this, Zoun actually has a bank. He has a bank. He's been quite efficient. Cure trying to collapse in. Vikings they get chase. And again, a bit of a desperate fight there out of Cure. We're still waiting for the Liberators to amass. Where have they been? I swear we might have thrown them away. Yeah, it looks like did lose a Liberator. Behind this, Zoun now switching to Mass Colossus. I do like this. As the Viking count is low. So switching back in. Zoun does have momentum. As another Liberator gets focused down. Oof, brutal Nova. Yeah, Cure just getting bullied by these Disruptors. Just getting so much value over time and almost never punished. And finally we have Liberators. It took so long to get here. We're 14 minutes in. We got our first Liberators up and running. Ay, ay, ay. Liberation has arrived. We're still not fully there yet, though. Again, the commitment to early Vikings really hurt Cure, as he just didn't need them. Yeah, that's why he gets so blindly going into Vikings. Nova's a punish, Delta overwhelming, and Zoun, can he break through? He's close. Once again, Colossus are exposed. They get punished. Nova's a do not connect. Oh my god, the target firing. One Nova connects. Just the one. Yeah, messy fight here from Cure. To take a brutal Nova to the face. Once again, you can see the desperation there from Cure, where he just needs to trade in some way. Does get a 5th base up. That is an orbital, though. It's vulnerable to run by. Speaking of, DTs are amassing. They're ready for a dive. And I feel like Cure's going to be torn apart. And nothing's in position. Gets into the mineral line. SV is going to be going down. Heavy losses for Cure. 10 SCV kills. And Cure has a lot of catching up to do. A lot of catching up. He needs more and more Liberators. Zoun, he at least currently still has momentum. I will say that once the Liberator count gets higher, the game is going to slow down, and Zoun, he might be punished for staying with his composition. We'll see. He's don't quite connect. DTs, they rotate over towards that southern base. Going for the third. Cure's not in position, doesn't have the supply. Like, again, Cure's not maxed. DTs, they move in. SCVs will go down. Oh, the Novas. Oh my god. Don't quite connect. Once again, Vikings, they attempt to punish here, but we only have a handful of Vikings remaining. Does give chase, does get a Colossus. That's 14 SCVs. 14 SCV kills, heavy damage from the Dark Templar. Oof. And Cure, he just commits. He just sends it. He sends it across the map. Does catch the Colossus at least. Takes down the Colossi. DTs, they're killing CCs. They're killing bases, catching reinforcements. Oof. Again, heavy losses there for Cure, and Zowny's maxed. Zowny's maxed out with a massive gateway composition. DTs are finally dealt with. Cure's getting caught. Oh no! He's getting caught out. He needs to siege. And he's forced to pull away, trying to make a stand. Does siege in time. Again, he has to fight with his Liberators. He has to fight with them pre-sieged. There we go, does set up. Army commits in, he blinks. It does go for the dive. Crazy blinks here out of Zoun. Oof, Novas are worth it, catching out 3 ghosts. Heavy losses for Cure. I can't chase. Yeah, he cannot chase. And with that, Zoun is overwhelming. We're looking to force the ace match. We're looking to force game 3. Once again, when it comes to this kind of game state, we were alluding to it previously, but Cure, he was kind of like blindly going for his same build and his same style as last game. So despite not scouting, he was blindly just building up Massive Hiking. And that's where instead the lower Colossus count and a heavier Disruptor count really caught him off guard. And as you try to emphasize, we didn't get Liberators out until over 14 minutes. It was like, what, 14:30 in the game when finally Liberators arrived. And up until that point, Cure was just getting bullied. He was just getting bullied by the Disruptors. He was just getting punished for autopiloting, is maybe a better way of putting it. Cure was just autopiloting without any scouting to like just building an ass Viking. Building an anti-Colossus army. And likewise prioritizing Ghosts as well, which would have been better against Storm. And he got punished. He got punished. Yeah, so he rotates over, catching out more Liberators. Oof, brutal connections. And again, Cure's just being torn apart. Now, Cure, he can potentially stabilize. He does have a 5th base technically, but the worker counts, right? The SCV count is just so very low. He needs more time to actually make use of his bases. Zoun just keeps rotating, just keeps trading, and the goal here is just to make sure that Cure never maxes out. If Cure maxes, then he can actually take a fight. As he's going into Mass Liberator. He's got 5 more Liberators on the way. Oh, we leave that one. Leaves out 2. Leaves out 2 more Liberators. Again, Cure needs more time. More Zealot Ramets coming in. More damage is being dealt. Again, Cure doesn't have the supply to defend both locations at once. It's just a supply issue. As again, the Novas, they just keep bullying. Keep zoning away. DC just going ham here on the planetary. Down to half HP. Dark Templar survives. And again, we've been looking for CA Smash for quite some time at this point. Curious been on the back foot for, I mean, so you go to Liberators at 14 minutes. It's been on the back foot since like what? 7 minutes in? 9 minutes in? I'll say 9 minutes. Zoun he pulls away, rotates over. Rotates, still building up his bank. Again, Curie just cannot move out. Curie slowly amassing a greater army. That is true. So Curie has one fight. He's going to have one big fight in him. So there is still a chance. I don't want to take that away from him. Just because of this. We have how many? 12. 12 Liberators. Oh, Viking and Rick sends. 11 more CV kills. Curie, he's building up a super maxed army. And again, Curie's going to have one strong fight in him. And he can potentially snowball out of control, break through this main army. And the issue, though, is because of the bank, there's going to be plenty of gateway reinforcements. So he has to deal with two armies. So now we just collapse into Planetary. Planetary goes down, massive pickoff. And Curie going to commit. Like, no, shall we just turtle off from here? I mean, he's still not satisfied with his army. Getting up to 14 Liberators. Okay, breaks out. Breaks out, takes down an expansion. So Crusade rotate. Curie's keeping up. And again, Curie's almost maxed. Scan confirming there's no Sky Toss. Just has to confirm. Speaking of Sky Toss, now we see it. 4 Stargates on the way, Fleet Beacon, and +1 flyer attack. That is the way to deal with Mass Liberator, is Tempest. You can pull it off with a heavy Stalker count, but it is difficult. And we can soon see Cure Breakout. I mean, he already has, right? He takes down center right. There's a recall top left. Recall's down on cooldown. True. Recall's on cooldown. Oh, Cure bleeding out some Bio Army here. Marines are going down. We're soon getting up to 18 Liberators. Okay. He's almost there. And then he can start pushing forward. Casito. Took quite a long time to get there, but he's almost there. DTs, they do hit the center expansion. 9 more CV kills. We commit in. Ooh. We do try to commit here. The Stalkers, they do trade. They're catching at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Liberators. They try to at least. There's a lot of Stalkers going down. That does free up supply. Free up supply for the Tempest. True. That's 4 Liberators for 13 Stalkers, so a brutal trade. But as long as we're trading, that may just keep Cure at home. May just keep him home. Stalkers, they catch 2 straight Liberators. 2 libs go down. Cure out of position. Cure stuck in the low ground even. Oof. And now moving off the ramp. Tempests are about to be revealed. Cure does take down top left. At the same time, they're losing his own third. And once again, due to Cure losing Liberators and bleeding out units, he's still stuck replacing all of that. Zoun retakes center base, bottom center. Once again, yeah, we almost had 18 Liberators, now down to 13. So Curie's got to build back up. Does have a half base available to him. Liberators are setting up. Tempests have arrived. And they can start shelling away the Liberators for free. And again, this is why Tempest and Skytoss is ideal in this position. You can just bully the Liberators. He gets one, he gets two. Just free damage. Takes down 3 Liberators, does force a stim into Novas. And this is like the ideal late game composition for Zoun is Tempest Disruptor. Tempest Disruptor, nice EP. So Tempest, they just shell away at the army and get free damage. If the army tries to stim in, then you Nova. You Nova to zone away. As long as you have a Nova available, you should be okay. You should be fine. Speaking of Nova goes, oh no, the Novas! Oh my god, massive connections, and with that we just ape in. Yeah, Curie just commits, he's gonna throw everything away. The Novas are connecting, massive connections, and with that, Zoun, he will tap the series. We're forcing the ace match as the entire army just gets obliterated. GG gets called, and we're going to game 3. GG. Whew, GG, well played. Once again, Kira, as we mentioned earlier, he was punished for just kind of autopiloting it in this game. We mentioned earlier we were emphasizing a lot on the Vikings, but really it's also the Ghosts as well. So if you remember, Kira, he was being very defensive. He was building up on 2 and then 3 bases, and he was blindly going for early Academy, early Ghost production, and a heavy Viking count as well. And that would be ideal if his opponent was building up into heavy Colossus play or heavy High Templar play, but there was never any Storm research. There was no Storm, no High Templar. Instead, we actually saw early Disruptors, and against Disruptors, ideally you don't want Vikings. You don't need the Ghosts heavily either. What do you need? Liberators. And it took Kira a long time to get there. He was like just autopiloting, just kind of blindly going into mass Ghosts, into mass Vikings, so he had a less effective, less efficient army against the heavy Disruptor play. And the Disruptors, they just dominated. Kira. Took him so long to build up his Liberators. Eventually he got there, and you saw that he was able to like hold the line somewhat, but it took him so long to get there, and in doing so, in the process, he was just being bullied by Zoun. GG. GG, well played. With that, we're going to the ace match, going all the way to game 3, and we'll see how this series ends. Who will qualify for GSL? Let's go. As we are loading into White Rabbits. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of White Rabbits, we have the red Protoss player. We have the red Protoss player himself representing onside. It is Zoun. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player, the blue Terran, representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. Let's go. Let us go. As we are building up into our game, and we'll see if Cure is able to get a better read on what Zoun is up to, on his mid-game composition, and of course react and respond in time as well. We've seen the inverse be the case, where I think a good example of that is Bjorn. I think it was yesterday or the day before, where Bjorn was playing his own TvP against Hero, right? It was in GSL, where Bjorn, he did the opposite thing that Cure did, and Bjorn went for a heavy Liberator count early on instead of going into a more heavy like Viking or Ghost count, and he got punished for that instead. So you can have the other extreme as well. For now, once again, double gas opener, faster factory. Now, every game so far, Cure, he's been playing for the late game. We saw that in game 1 on Ruby Rock. We saw that here in game 2 on Tourmaline. Every game, he's just been very defensive. It's been building up. It worked wonders in game 1, but that's also because, if you remember, Zoun delayed his own economy. Zoun, he almost killed himself, right, in game 1. Where he delayed his own economy, he delayed his own setup, he went into early Storm, he went into committed Colossus, he was playing into what Cure was blindly going for, which is a heavy Ghost and heavy Viking early on. And Cure was almost just blindly hard countering Zoun. And this time, how do we open up? How do we embrace the mid game? Let's go. So now we are going to be opening up. Expecting Twilight Council play at a Zoun. If we were covering some of the other Protoss players like Hero or Classic, we could mix in Stargate openers or Robo openers. Even proxies, they do have a little more diverse play. Zoun is a little more standard in this approach, so we're expecting more of the same when it comes to the mid game, or the early to mid game. When it comes to our openers. Meanwhile, this time we're going back to basics here, back to Reaper Hellion. Okay. So Cure is committing to a heavier Reaper Hellion count. The goal here is economic damage. Did work decently in game 1. It was okay. As Reapers, they poke in. They poke in, they pull away. And we'll see if we can dive. Again, the goal here is to dive into a mineral line. So far, the Hellions, they bust in. They head for the natural. Ooh, we don't get a force field. I mean, we couldn't, as the Reapers did make their way in as well. Yeah, it does get a surround off. Probes, they line up. Hellion shot doesn't quite connect. And with that, Zoun will hold. Yeah, Zoun, he will hold on. He will lose a couple of probes here. That's going to be 4 probes falling. 4 probes going down, but that's 4 probes for what? For 2 Hellions and a Reaper. So not a bad defense. Not a bad defense, considering as well that he already had his batteries in position as well. Did help. And Cure gets forced out. He gets forced out of the main base. At least he did scout the tech of choice. Twilight Council opener into Blink. Oof. Gets chased down, losing another Reaper. And in the end, it is going to be 2 gates in the main base, 1 gate here at the natural. So 3 gate Blink into the Robo into a 3rd. Oh, never mind. We do see 3 gate Blink into a Robo. Gases are being taken. Are we tempted to go into early Storm again, just like game 1? Curious. We see Cure checking for the 3rd. Wouldn't mind dropping to the main base. Zoun is keeping up. Oof, the probes had stacked for a moment there. Okay, that was scary. Yeah, 2 probe kills. Wouldn't mind drop is going to be zoned away. From here, Zoun, he does defend. So far, he's defending, he's holding. Once again, Cure is checking for the 3rd. 3rd has yet to be thrown down. Cure going for a standard follow-up. Building up his Raven, building up his Bio Tank. I'm still looking for a Temple Archives. As we've yet to see the 3rd. Zoun poking forward. So far, Curie's holding on. And there are the extra gateways. Yeah, extra gateways as well. Again, hyper safe play here by Zoun. A very delayed 3rd. Just like game 1. The only difference is that we've yet to see Storm or the Temple Archives. Instead of going into Immortal production, charge as well. 3rd CC is already on the way for Cure. It's a rare sight, but technically this 3rd base is faster than the 3rd of Zoun. I'm a little bit concerned here. Basically, Zoun is being overly safe. He's being hyper safe here. Yep, going for the Temple Archives into Storm, Immortal production, heavy gateway count, early gases, very late 3rd, which also leads into a later 4th base. It leads into a worse mid-game, at least economically. Now, where this build from Zoun thrives is if Cure goes for a 2-base all-in. If Cure goes for a 2-base all-in and goes for 2-base aggression, then Zoun is going to be ready for it. But the reality is, remember, Cure expands. Cure has a 3rd CC, and even this has been scouted by Zoun as well. So Cure plans on building up into the mid-game, so there was no need to rush into all this tech. So I'm not too fond of the build of choice here from Zoun. I wasn't fond of it in game 1, and we're seeing it here again in game 3. Now there's potential, like we can go for Storm drops, for example. We can be the aggressor instead, because Zoun's 3rd is so delayed, right? Like he can be the aggressor, he can move in. But I will say right now the pressure's on Zoun to get damage done. Pressure is on. As Cure, he's breaking out to expand. Here comes the 3rd CC. Oh, does Cure commit across the map? For now, he's vying for map control. He's vying for map control. Does pull away, claims his third. Zoun checking for the push. Throwing down batteries. His Templar ready. He's got 4 Templars so far. They're in the War Prism. Let's go to Storms. And we'll see if Cure commits. Cure, he's unaware of the tech of choice. He is aware of the late 3rd expansion, but he needs to be careful here. This will come down to the Storms. So again, we have 4 High Templar, 3 Storms in the War Prism. Cure, he's getting on top of the 3rd. He does on top of the 4th. He does force a cancel. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, Zoun out of position. Cure going further in. This is risky. Does go further in. Once again, the army is late to respond. No major damage, just getting a couple of gateways. Get a pylon, get some gateways. Yeah, Storm's going to be coming in. And Cure has to get out of here. Massive storm. Oh no, he stands in the storms. Massive damage. Yeah, storms, they pop off, and the tanks are on their own. Cure does at least deny the 4th base. That is worth it. True. But I feel like we're not really achieving much with this position. Oh. Storm of the tanks. Storm goes lands. Tanks do survive. Cure forcing a better fight for him. Actually, massive tank shots. Yeah, tank shots are going off. Punishing the Zealots. Better fight here for Cure. Yeah, much better fight. And likewise, forcing storms on a handful of units. Zoun tries to glass in from behind. Another storm on the tanks. Tank goes down. Nice mine connections, and Zoun will clean this up. Yeah, Zoun, he will defend. It did cost Zoun a lot of units to do so, and again, Zoun, he was contained on 3 bases. You could argue that's what matters the most here. Definitely, I feel like Cure could have gotten out of here a little bit sooner, but Cure, he will lose his army, he will lose some momentum, he's forced back home, and Zoun can now finally expand. Now, fun fact, Cure had a faster 3rd, likewise, Cure has a faster 4th. The 4th CC is more than halfway done. So Cure, he has a better setup coming into a longer game. Yeah, I mean, he already did from the beginning. But, now even more so. Did lose all of his tanks, and that does mean that he does have a weaker defensive position now. And here comes Zoun. Zoun doesn't really have much to work with either. So Cure should get away with it. He should get away with it. 4th CC is finishing up. Again, faster 4th base, stronger economy, building up his Ghost Viking. Again, this time there's actually a greater reason to build up the Ghost count this early on, so Cure is already just blindly a little more comfortable here against the heavy storm. He's got his EMPs. Plenty of them. Zoun is pushing forward. Cure does rotate over, bit out of position. Surprise keeping up. 4th base is being taken. Zoun tries to respond. Once again, though, Zoun doesn't really have enough here to really threaten the base. Oh. Yeah, be careful, Zoun. And Cure has momentum. Cure, he's had momentum for the game since almost the beginning here, claiming his 4th base, taking his gases, getting up to proper 4 base saturation. Cure, he's maxing out. He'll be the first to max out as well. And Zoun is in trouble here. He does have a high Templar count, so he can take a fight with storms. He's got 6 High Templar, but I believe they are spread out. Yeah, we have a Templar, we have 2 Templar back at home, 3 Templar back at home. Oof, EMP goes off. Oof, catching out the Prism. Yeah, Prism goes down, EMPs are brutal. And Cure's going for the kill. He's going for the kill, he's going for the throat. Zoun is racing back home. Cure, where we headed, he actually rotates to the left-hand side. Interesting. Zoun is ready for the push towards the natural. That's what he's expecting. Snipe goes off. Shows EMPs, massive EMPs on the army. Oh my god. There's still a storm. There's still a storm in the chamber. More storms are coming in. Colossus goes down. That's still what, like 3 storms at least. Still had Temple in the back line. Oh, does catch 2. There's still 2 left. 3 left even. Yeah, there's still more Templar, but Zoun's just zoned away from his zone 4th. He's zoned away. With that, the expansion goes down. Zoun just at least try to save the probes. Does pull away. But Q's moving in. Yeah, he's going in. Short EMPs. Oh no! The EMP. Oh, massive EMPs. 0 storm. And Zoun, where are we going? He's going for a counter attack. He's going for a base trade. He knows he cannot fight the main army, and Curie just snowballs out of control, breaks through the Nexus, pushing in towards the natural as well. There's 1 storm available. That's because of the NG overcharge. But this base trade is so late. It's such a late base trade here. Zoun gets across the map. Alas, Curie's already pushing into the main. Never goes off. Oh, the splits though. Very nice splits. And the Nova connection's not good enough. Vikings, they land in the main. And everything's on fire. Everything's flashing red. Zoun just now pushing into the natural. Now, Zoun does have a lot of mining bases. That is true. He's throwing down pylons, trying to make sure he doesn't get supply blocks, trying to warp in. Zoun will be losing all of his tech. And remember, Zoun can always recall. He can always recall. And he does get on top of the production. In a head-on fight, we do have to favor Cure. Cure does have the better army. It is more efficient. Upgrades are denied for both players. Yeah, everything's being denied here. Cure does have a planetary, and his natural base does try to float away. He's turning around. Yeah, he's turning back around. He's coming back home. +3 is denied. And remember, Zoun can recall to get out of here. Takes down advanced ballistics, not bad. Vikings, they are left back to deal with some of the bases. And Cure has arrived. Yeah, Cure, he has arrived. There are 0 storms left for Zoun as he has no High Templar, he has no Disruptors, he has 1 Colossus. 1 Colossus in a very heavy Zealot composition. So it's mainly a gateway army. That's why we do favor Cure in a head-on fight. I guess depending on the engage, of course. Out in the open, I think Zoun will be favored, but with choke points involved, that's where Zealots can struggle. Oof. Oh, nice catch on some of the Vikings. Okay, very nice. Catching out 2 Vikings. Zoun, he does have some gateways to get up and running. He can soon warp in. Both players have a massive bank, but Cure is still heavily supply blocked. Technically, Zoun, he can actually build up a greater army. He's warping in. He's warping in units. Twilight Council's on the way for eventually the Temple Archives, for eventually High Templar. Cure, he is not aware of the fringe expansions. I mean, he can assume, but... I mean, again, these bases are so exposed. Cure trying to rebuild this production. Zoun can pull this off. He can do it. Get the Viking. Does throw away a couple of Stalkers though. Oof. Yeah, a couple of Stalkers are thrown away. Tech is being rebuilt. Curie's down to a 1 base economy. Meanwhile, Zoun has 2 bases. 3 technically. He has 3 expansions. Zoun is maxing out. Yeah, and again, Cure, he just left too much economy available here for Zoun. Too many bases, too many workers. Zoun is remaxed with mass zealots. There are so many zealots here. So many charge lots. Now, Cure, he's no longer supply blocked either, so he's also building back up. Oof. He's out a couple of Vikings. Drop across the map. But there are zealots. Yeah, there are zealots back at home. Cure, he did scout the expansion. He's fully aware. Did scout the base. Curie's finding some damage. technically does supply blocks down. True. Oof. Sound coming in from behind. Curie bleeding out of the Viking. Curie wants to collapse in. Again, he has a lot of EMPs available. Decent EMPs. Collapsing on the Zealots, he kites back. Yeah, better trades. Much better trades here for Curie. Massive EMPs on everything. Yeah, the Zealot army just melts. Just completely melts. As we mentioned, it's a very cheap army here for Zoun. He might have been up in supply, but it was a very cheap army, a very cheap supply. And now there's no Colossus. No Colossus, no splash damage. He's got one Templar, one Storm. Oh. Yeah, the one Storm available. Zoun has no gas. Yeah, he's not mining gas here on the right-hand side. No gases here either. Limited gas income. Limited storms. Oof. Once again, mass EMPs. The army is a little bit overstimmed, and if only there was a storm, if only. Yeah, no splash damage. The Zealots, they can't engage. They can't get a good service area. High Templar gets focused down. Vikings land. And Kurizana, he breaks the base. He breaks the expansion. Again, the main army just cannot engage here. Not without some kind of backbone to the army. Speaking of, a couple of High Templar just warped in. Yeah, they warped in here on the right hand side. He's got 2 Templar. Catching a medevac, not bad. Medevac gets caught. Starport as well. Catching up both Starports. Both Starports actually very nice. This is it. This is the one chance. The High Templar, the Storms. Likewise, without those starports, without those medevacs, this army is heavily overstimmed, by the way. Storm's gonna be that much more brutal. Speaking of, here come the Templar, here come the Storms. Hit this one. Oof. And it's one Storm. Decent Chocobai goes down, and he only had the one Storm though. That's it. Oof. A couple of guys go down, but GG gets called. There's just not enough gateway units here, and Cure, he will claim the series 2-1, qualifying for this season, season 2 of GSL. GG. Whew. GG, well played. A very chaotic final game, which I appreciate. Do appreciate it here. Winding it back again. Zoun, he was playing from behind from the beginning. I'm really not too fond of the build itself that we saw from Zoun. We saw it in game 1. We saw it here in game 2. The idea of foregoing your economy in favor of early storm and a heavy robo composition early on. Doesn't really achieve too much here against Cure specifically, just because he wasn't being aggressive. You could argue that he wasn't being aggressive because of the build, but I mean, both in game 1 and game 3, Cure, he ended up with a better economy, a stronger army as a result, and had a stronger mid to late game as well. So I don't think the build itself was quite worth it. I can see it working better on smaller maps for sure, so you can make the argument for Ruby Rock, but here for White Rabbit, I wasn't too fond of it. I wasn't too fond of the idea. With that, GG well played. It still led into a very chaotic, of course, finale when we had the base trade moments where, of course, we had Zoun unable to engage with Cure's army, so he just had to go for the big counterattack, went for the base trade, and honestly, it almost worked, right? We saw that Cure was heavily supply blocked, Zoun could reinforce, but he had no tech, so he was only warping in Zealots, right? It was a very Zealot-heavy composition, and Zealots, like, they're not amazing if they can't surround. We mentioned, of course, at the time that Zealots, they're amazing if they can collapse on the army, come in from multiple angles, but against SimCity, if terrain is working against you, like, they have a very hard time engaging, especially with that amount of ghosts. We had so many EMPs, immediately the army HP was cut in half, and the gateway army just got annihilated. It was obliterated. Yeah. GG, well played with that. Congratulations, Cure. He will claim the series, he will qualify for GSL, and now is the time to catch up on the brackets themselves. Oh boy, here we go. So first things first, Group B. Whew, we were so engrossed. We were so engrossed here. When it comes to the qualifiers, Hero. When it comes to Group B, Hero took down Ryung 2-1. Hero took down Shin to be the first to qualify out of Group B. We did cover and cast that series. It was a bit of a shorter one. Shin, he took down Geralt and Cure to make it to the qualifying match, but he was knocked down and knocked out. Scrolling down, we had Maru. Maru, he got a bye in the first round. He took down Percival 2-0. Percival took down Gumiho earlier. Shout out to Gumiho for competing. Once again, Gumiho, he's like pseudo-retired. He only plays in GSL qualifiers, doesn't really play much else. And Maru took down 2-0 to qualify. So we had Hero and Maru being the first two players to qualify for GSL. Again, no surprises there. They're like the top two players in Korea. Scrolling down here, what did we have? We had Creator. He took down Solar. Damn, he took down Percival and Solar. And then we covered that qualifying match. Shin, he 2-1 Creator, and Shin qualified for GSL. Cure, he took down Yakov, took down Gumiho, took down Zoun 2-1. We just covered that series. And we had Shin and Cure alongside Hero and Maru qualifying for GSL. GG, well played. Shout out to our initial 4 players from Group B. Heading over to Group A, we also cover these matches. Heading up from the top here, we'll have a look at the round of our players. Clem 2-0'd Bunny. Clem, he 2-1 Rogue, and Clem, as our first foreigner for GSL Season 2, is qualified for GSL. Looking forward to, of course, seeing some Clem action in GSL for the first time. Classic, likewise, he 2-0's Trigger. Classic 2-0's Björn. Classic, he breezes way over Björn, if you remember that series. And Clem alongside Classic qualify for GSL Season 2. Scrolling down here, who do we have? We have Cristiano. Cristiano took down Lambo. That's a big win for Cristiano, by the way. Cristiano. He took down Lambo 2-1. Trigger took down Cristiano, and then Rogue took down Trigger 2-0 to qualify. We covered that series. Scrolling down here, SOS, he 2-1 Rainer. That's what some people in the chat were asking. They were like, yo, you're going to cover SOS versus Rainer? SOS took down Rainer early. Who did Rainer go down initially? ZVZ. Makes sense. So Rogue, he 2-0's Rainer, and SOS 2-1's Rainer early on in the bracket. Welcome to GSL. That's brutal. There's a lot of high expectations for Rainer, and for Rainer to go down to SOS, that is brutal here. SOS, he 2-1's Bunny, SOS 2-0'd Björn, and Rogue and SOS qualify for GSL. So those are our top 8 players. We have Clem, Classic, Rogue, SOS, Hero, Maru alongside our 2 other players. Hold on, I'll check out the Wikipedia page. Hold on. So it was Clem, Classic, Rogue, SOS, Hero, Maru, Shin, and Cure. There we go. Shin and Cure. That led us into the losers bracket. Un momento. Let's see if we can show that off. We might just show off the Wikipedia page, just because that is maybe a little bit more clear, as the lower bracket did just conclude. Yeah, okay. Bam, beautiful. Okay. So we had the round 1, Group A and Group B wrapping up. Here we do have round 2. So we didn't cover any of these matches just because they're not as important. This was the winners group. Basically, all the players that qualified for GSL, the top 8 that we just mentioned, they all played a bunch of seeding matches to see if they can skip round 1. So with that, Maru he 2-0's Rogue. Likewise, Maru takes down Clem 2-1 in a TvP. Big win there for Maru. So Maru, he does immediately get seeded into the round of 8, of GSL. Hero 2-1's SOS and 2-1's Classic. Hero also qualifies directly and sees directly into the round of 8. So Maru is in the round of 8. Hero's in the round of 8. Scrolling down, Rogue 2-1's Cure. Rogue 2-0's Classic. Rogue is also now seeding directly into the round of 8. And Clem takes down Shin 2-1, and Clem also is seeded in. So Maru, Hero, Rogue, and Cure. All these other players are already in GSL. They're already in the round of 12. But Maru, Hero, Rogue, and Clem, they are directly seeded into the round of 8. This means that we will not see them in the round of 12. But we have our top 4 players making it all the way to the round of 8. Meanwhile, we had the last chance qualifier. So this did also just wrap up, just take place. Here we had the last chance qualifier. Gumiho, let's go. Gumiho, who has not played in GSL in quite some time, that rarely plays in tournaments. Gumiho 2-0's Trigger, he 2-0's Cristiano to qualify for GSL. Speaking of Cristiano, He actually knocks Zoun out. Damn, he knocks Zoun down to the lower brackets. So very nicely done there by Cristiano. But Gumiho does qualify. Scoring down Solar. Solar, he 2-0s Beyond. He 2-0s Bunny. So Gumiho and Solar qualify just barely for GSL. Scrolling down a little bit further here, Zoun 2-0s Trigger, Zoun 2-1s Bunny. Zoun also makes it through over Bunny into GSL Season 2, and Beyond takes down Creator 2-1. My condolences to Creator. Beyond takes down Cristiano, and Beyond is the final player to qualify for GSL. Cristiano is out, Trigger is out, Bunny is out, Creator is also out as well, alongside Geralt, Young Yakov, and some of the other players that did attempt to qualify. So GG well played, congratulations. We now have our top 8. Sorry, we have our top 12. We have our top 12 players in Season 2 of GSL. We have Hero, Maru, Rogue, Clem, Classic, Shin, Cure, SOS, Gumiho, Solar, Zoun, and Beyond. We got one foreigner. We have Clem. We have one foreigner in GSL, surrounded by Koreans, but we have some new Koreans this season. I say new Koreans that didn't make it last season. So Gumiho and SOS. We have Gumiho and SOS making it through. Bunny does not. I believe they replaced Bunny and who else? And Percival. That's it. Wait, Percival, did he play? Where was Percival? Oh, right, he got knocked out early in the upper bracket. Yeah. Here he got taken out by Maru. Taken out by Maru. And he lost a Creator earlier as well. Yeah. So Percival, he got knocked out early on. So basically, when it comes to comparing Season 1 to Season 2, Clem replaces Trigger. Essentially, Clem replaces Trigger, Gumiho replaces Percival, and SOS replaces Bunny. So we have basically 3 player changes here. So we lose Trigger, we lose Bunny, and we lose Percival, and we gain Clem, we gain SOS, and we gain Gumiho. So 3 players have kind of switched in and out. So my condolences. I mean, I'm a big Bunny fan, so feels Bunny, man. So Bunny doesn't make it through. Trigger, also a good player as well, also a dear friend. Trigger doesn't make it through either. It feels bad, man. And Percival, he has a lot of potential as a player. He's one of the quote-unquote newer faces to this level of play, and it's a bit of a shame to not see Percival in Season 2 of GSL. It's a bit of a shame. But GG well played. Whew, it was a long broadcast here. 7 hours. Damn. 7 hours, papi. And again, 1.5 hours was just a countdown timer, but still long cast. Long cast. Intense, papi. Intense. GG well played. With that, we are going to be wrapping up here for the day. The qualifiers have concluded, and as we mentioned, we have our top 12. We have our top 12 here for GSL. Congratulations to our top 12 players, and looking forward to seeing them in the next season of GSL. For those that are curious here, the reason why we had so many foreigners, we had Geralt, Cristiano, Young Yakov, Rainer, Clem, Trigger, is because GSL is now international, has opened up to not just residents of South Korea, but to all players around the world. Lambo was also taking part in the qualifier, if you recall. What that means is, because if you don't know anything about GSL, in Season 1, it's online. GSL has now become an online tournament, still has an offline semis, so basically the requirement here is that if you're a foreigner competing in the tournament, if you make it into the top 4, you have to be able to make your way to Korea. You have to be able to fund yourself to go to Korea to take part and take place in the tournament. That is the prerequisite, so that's going to be on Clem here. If he does make it into the top 4, and there's a good chance he does, by the way, he's straight up the best Terran player in the world, or at least you can argue top 2 alongside Maru. But he is one of, if not the best Terran. There's a high chance that he will make it into the top 4, and if so, he will have to make his way to Korea to compete in that final day of GSL. Best of luck, though. Best of luck. Hope to see him go far. Otherwise, with that, we're going to be wrapping up. Here for the day. Ooh, again, it's a very long broadcast, and I'm very worn out, and the StarCraft continues in around, Jesus, 9 hours? Oh, good. 8 hours. 8 hours time, we're going to be live with some OSC. As you can see here, Tuesday morning, we have an OSC cast. I'm very worn out, by the way, but we have OSC this morning, we have MSO this evening, we have Pegasus Cup, Kung Fu Cup, What Is Even Mondays, Amantes, RSL, the podcast, plenty of StarCraft, plenty of content throughout the week, so do check it out. Again, shout out to Soup. We did live cast, of course, here on Soup. The rebroadcast is going to be available on other platforms in a couple of days' time, and if you want to support GSL, you can do so via the Patreon. Patreon/GSL is the place to be. Patreon.com/GSL is the place to be, of course, to support StarCraft. So much love to Soup, much love to GSL for organizing the event, for hosting the event, and for making this event a reality. Much love, much love. GG, well played. So do consider supporting them via Patreon to allow for a season 3, a third season to take place later in the year. Otherwise, we're going to be heading off, and we'll see you guys next time. Until then, ciao, bye, ciao, hasta luego. See you next time. I'm going to go pass out. Oh, going to get some food and then pass out. Jesus. See you next time.